So what's going on guys, Kate here and welcome back to a brand new video. For today I will show you the new best Diablo Immortal class guide in 2023. So this game in general has a bunch of fun classes to play, and we have a very unique variety to choose from. But the big question is, which classes are actually good for the specific activities that you want to do? So I've done a bunch of testing and here are the strengths and weaknesses of each class and much more. So if this sounds interesting to you, then let's get right into it. So then moving over to the first class, which is the barbarian, and he is a savage fighter class that uses brutal attacks to crush his enemies. His amazing abilities to wipe out hordes of enemies with AoE attacks makes him a great choice for leveling and farming. The barbarian is an aggressive class that is constantly getting up close and personal to deliver devastating attacks, and he has many different skills that have crowd control effects, allowing you to endlessly pin down your enemies. And on top of being one of the best solo player classes, the barbarian has some of the best group buffs in the game, which makes this class must have in any group content. So then as far as your strength goes, the barbarian is one of the fastest characters in the game, and when using the right legendary items, you can give a speed boost to the rest of your teammates. And on top of being insanely fast, they're also impressively strong, and he can speedrun through any content that the game has to offer, being able to deal massive amounts of AoE damage, as well as the ability to put out huge damage numbers, makes him one of the best classes for PvE and PvP. And then lastly, if this wasn't good enough, then at the endgame, the barbarian gives all his teammates plus 25% increased damage buff and much more. So then with that said, now let's move over to the weaknesses, and the barbarian has to get close to his enemies, which comes with great risks, because when content gets harder, and as you climb the ranks of challenging rifts and different dungeons, you will feel a considerable need to focus on your defense. So overall the barbarian's positives are that he has high AoE damage, fast melee playstyle, is one of the strongest classes in PvP, you have many crowd control options, and then lastly, you can give your teammates amazing group buffs. But then for the negatives, the barbarian takes damage constantly. He has low single target damage and long cooldowns. And then lastly, being a melee class in the endgame raids will be a bit harder than just safely doing damage from a range. So if you want to be a warrior with a very high damage, then this is the class for you. So then going over to the second class, which is the wizard, and this is your traditional mage class. She can manipulate arcane forces to strike from a distance, pushing her enemies into oblivion. Wizards are the pure spellcaster class, wielding elemental magic with high AoE and crowd control. This class is definitely for strategic players that enjoy spell synergy combos, control over opponents, skill shots, and devastating damage. So then as far as your strength goes, the wizard can be played with ranged spells to deal damage from afar safely, or you can turn her into a battle mage for more up-close playstyle. One of her best abilities is the movement skill called Teleport, which is used to instantly reposition during combat or to travel long distances quickly. When your teammates pull all the mobs very close to each other, the wizard will unleash her massive arsenal of AoE skills, which will do massive amounts of damage. So then as far as your weaknesses go, most of the wizard skills have long cooldowns, and strategic use of these skills is important, especially because they benefit from being used together in combos. This is an intelligent base class, so you need to play smart to get out to the wizard the best possible results. So overall the wizard's positives are that she has tons of AoE and crowd control skills. You get to use satisfying skill synergies. If you like to play tactically, then you can do even more damage than normal. Then as well you can fight at range or close quarters. And then lastly, this class has good mobility skills. And then for the negatives, you have very long skill cooldowns. You rely a lot on skill combos. Then as well you can take significant damage if you're not careful. And then last but not the least, this class lacks any significant group buffs. So if you want to be a mage and a massive damage dealer, then this is the class for you. So then going over to the third class, which is the demon hunter, and she can do insane amount of damage to groups of enemies while moving around the battlefield, which makes her amazing for leveling, farming, and endgame dungeons. So then as far as your strength goes, the demon hunters can move while shooting their auto attacks. This allows them to constantly deal damage while positioning themselves out of harm's way. The best part is that you can use abilities while moving and auto attacking, so this turns you into a death machine. And then lastly, if this wasn't good enough, then you can simultaneously activate your Vengeance and Reign of Vengeance skills to become the highest single target damage dealer in the game. So then moving over to the weaknesses, and demon hunters lack crowd control. The best skill in your arsenal is the multi-shot skill, which has great range and spread, but when it gets on cooldown, you're left with mostly auto attacks, It also doesn't help that you're one if not the squishiest class in the game, so you will need good positioning and quick decision making, so this class is not the easiest to use for new players. So overall the Demon Hunter's positives are that she has high single target damage. This class rewards tactical play in PvP, you can fight at long range while moving, then as well you can multi-shot monsters, which gives you easier time to AoE enemies. And then for the negatives, this class has minimal build diversity. You don't have any group buffs. The Demon Hunter is very squishy, you will lack crowd control in PvP, and then lastly, you don't have very good mobility skills. So if you're looking for a very high damage class with a very fun gameplay, then this is the one for you. So then going over to the next class, which is the Crusader, and this is a paladin type of class that wants to remove all evil from this world. The Crusader charges forwards on their glorious mission, leading your party with high AoE damage, incredible speed and party-wide buffs. As a Crusader, you will quickly crush groups of weak enemies, as almost every skill at your disposal is very good at AoE based damage. So then moving over to your strengths, and the Crusader is a melee and AoE damage based class, with the fastest overall movement speed in the game. If damage becomes a problem, the Crusader has defensive skills, such as Punish for improved block chance, or Conjuring of Light to make you and your party invulnerable for a short duration. Crusaders also fill a party role as a scout/tank, dealing AoE damage to monsters, triggering events, and pulling enemies together to then use big AoE skills. Then as far as your weaknesses go, the Crusader is vulnerable to stunts and interrupts, causing you to immediately lose the entire duration of your abilities. Most builds for this class relies on casting other skills before casting your main damage dealers, so this further decreases your damage during stuns and interrupts. Overall, the Crusader is a top tier choice for high AoE damage, incredible movement speed, impressive defensive skills, and effective party buffs. But then for the negatives, you have long cooldowns, you have low single target DPS, and then lastly, if you choose to play this class, then you will be required to play the scout role. So if you want to play the fastest mobility class with amazing buffs, then for sure try this one out and have fun. So then going over to the next class, which is the necromancer, and he is a master of manipulating life and death. With strong AoE and crowd control abilities, as well as summons, he can deal massive amounts of damage. This class is basically really good at almost all roles, and on top of everything else, corpses provide a unique resource to the necromancer, which offers a powerful and challenging resource that you can manage to achieve super high damage. So then moving over to your strengths, and the necromancer is very versatile, and he excels at surviving and keeping his allies and minions alive. One of his abilities can taunt monsters, forcing all enemies nearby to attack you for a short duration. One of your best party buffs give you 5 charges that can absorb 5 attacks, no matter how much damage the enemy does. Then as far as your weaknesses go, the necromancer's only option for mobility is Rout form, and the best legendary ability uses the same slot as the skill, so you will have to decide to sacrifice damage for mobility and go with the full DPS playstyle or vice versa. And then lastly, most of your abilities are short to mid-range, so you have to get up close and personal with your enemies. So overall, the necromancer's positives is that he has very strong buffs. You can summon minions which will help you out in any content. The necromancer has the best and most powerful ultimate in the game. And then lastly, you have amazing AoE and single target damage skills. And then for the negatives, the necromancer lacks any significant mobility. You are very corpse reliant, which is a special resource that only this class can use. And then lastly, most of your skills are close to mid-range. So if you want to manipulate life and death and summon cool minions, then this is the class for you. So then moving over to the last and final class, which is the monk, and he is a master of martial arts. He is a fast-paced fighter that in PvE can deal quick hits and does pretty nice DPS. The combat for the monk is action-packed, and you will be able to use different skills together to create a bunch of devastating combos, which will result in a fast and agile melee fighting style. So then moving over to your strengths, and the monk is a melee damage class with the biggest arsenal of group supporting skills, but this will not force you to assume a dedicated support role in parties, so you can go full DPS, half in support, half in DPS, and much more. So then as far as your weaknesses go, while the monk has variety of skills available, most of them depend on the playstyle, which leads to less variety in actual builds. The monk's main single target ability is a pet skill, with a long cooldown, that if he gets distracted, you can find yourself slowly losing DPS against tanky bosses. And then lastly, you are required to use your skills in the right order for the best efficiency possible, which makes this class more difficult to play and easy to interrupt. So overall, the monk has great mobility, high AoE damage, he's very fast paced, and you get very nice party and shield buffs. But then for the negatives, you rely a lot on skill combos. Then this class requires consistent input, which means that you will be spamming your normal attacks and skills 24/7. And then lastly, you have limited abilities for solo content. So if you want to be a fast and agile martial artist with quick combos and fast-paced gameplay, then this is the class for you, so enjoy. And with that said, I really do appreciate everyone for watching, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any suggestions, feedback, or other good Diablo Immortal classes or guides that you would like to see in the next video, then feel free to leave your comments in the comment section down below. And while you're doing that, please click like, subscribe, and enable that notification bell, so this way you could support the channel and you won't miss any more amazing content from me. With all this said, you have an amazing day, and I will catch you in my next video. So take it easy, peace.